I love being this close to you.
Me too. You make everything feel right.
Chuka. Chuka. Hot Chuka.
What is it? What is wrong and why are you here? What are you doing here?
The door flew open with a crash that shook the entire house in Suralere, Lagos. Chiamaka stood there, her eyes wild and red from crying, clutching a pink bedsheet in her trembling hands. The morning sun of Saturday, September 14, 2024, streamed past her, illuminating the dust particles that danced in the air like tiny witnesses to a coming disaster. Chuka, she screamed, her voice cracking with a pain so deep it seemed to come from her very bones. Chuka. From the bedroom, her husband of 7 years emerged, rubbing his eyes. Chuka Okonkwo was a tall, handsome man of 35, a successful real estate agent who dressed in sharp suits and spoke with the confidence of someone who had conquered Lagos. But in that moment, wearing only his boxers, he looked small. He looked terrified. "What is it, Nene? What is wrong?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. Chiamaka threw the bedsheet at him. It landed on the floor between them, and on it, clearly visible, were strands of long braided hair that were not her style, and a stain that made Chuka's blood run cold. A cheap, golden earring lay tangled in the fabric. "I found this in our bed," she said, her voice dangerously calm now. "The calm before the storm. I came back early from my mother's village in Enugu. I wanted to surprise you. But look who got the surprise, Chuka. Look at me and tell me, whose hair is this in my bed?" Chuka opened his mouth, but no words came out. His brain raced, searching for a lie, any lie. But the evidence was there, on the floor, screaming the truth. "Who is she?" Chiamaka's scream this time shook the framed wedding photograph on the wall, their wedding photograph from December 2017, where they both smiled, so young, so in love. "Who is this second wife you took without telling me?" The question hung in the air like a curse. Chuka felt his legs weaken. How could he explain? How could he tell her that the woman whose hair lay on that sheet was now carrying his child? That he had married her in a quiet ceremony in Ibadan 3 months ago. That he had built her a small room in his own mother's compound. The truth was about to be revealed in the most shocking way, and little did Chiamaka know, this was only the beginning of her nightmare. It was January 2024, 8 months before that terrible morning. Chiamaka sat on the balcony of their 3-bedroom flat in Suralere, fanning herself with a magazine. The harmattan dust hung in the air, but the heat was still unbearable. "Chuka, when will you fix the generator?" she called into the house. "NEPA has taken light again, and the food in the freezer will spoil." Chuka emerged with his phone pressed to his ear, waving at her to be quiet. "Yes, sir, I understand. 1.5 million. That is too low for that property in Lekki. Sir, please, let us meet at 1.8 million. Yes, sir. I will come to your office tomorrow." He ended the call and grinned at his wife. "Baby, that was a big client. If this deal closes, I will get a commission of almost 500,000 naira. Chiamaka clapped her hands happily. "Oh, Chuka. God is good. We can finally fix the bathroom tiles that are cracking. And maybe buy that standing fan for the parlor." Sure, Chuka said, but his eyes were already drifting back to his phone, where a notification had just pinged. It was a message from a number he had saved under a client K. "My king, I miss you. When will you come to Ibadan again?" He quickly swiped the message away, his heart pounding. He looked at Chiamaka, who was now humming as she folded clothes, completely unaware. A wave of guilt washed over him, but it was quickly replaced by excitement. The woman on the phone, Kemi, was 25 years old, a lively caterer he had met at a property viewing in Ibadan 6 months ago. She was nothing like Chiamaka. Where Chiamaka was quiet and home-loving, Kemi was loud and adventurous. Where Chiamaka prayed and fasted, Kemi partied and laughed. Little did Chiamaka know that her husband was already walking down a dangerous path. 2 weeks later, Chuka told his wife he had a business trip to Ibadan. This client wants to buy 3 plots of land, he explained, packing a small bag. I might stay 2 nights. You know how these things are. Chiamaka nodded, handing him his favorite blue shirt. Just come back safely. And eat well. You know I don't like it when you eat roadside food. He kissed her forehead and left. But instead of going to the motor park, he drove straight to the house of his best friend, Emeka, in Ikeja. Oga, you are doing this thing again? Emeka asked, shaking his head. He was a mechanic, a simple man with a simple life. Chuka, let me tell you. Chiamaka is a good woman. A very good woman. If she catches you, ego bado. Emeka, you don't understand, Chuka said, waving his hand. The man needs variety. Chiamaka is my wife, my mother's daughter. But Kemi makes me feel young again. And besides, she is pressuring me. She says if I don't marry her, she will leave me. Marry her. Emeka's eyes widened. Chuka, you are mad. You cannot marry 2 wives without telling the first one. That is trouble. But Chuka was not listening. He was already imagining Kemi's smile, her laughter, the way she cooked his favorite egusi soup with fresh fish. He got in his car and drove to Ibadan, his heart light with anticipation. That night in Ibadan, Chuka sat with Kemi in her small but neat room in Bodija. The air was thick with the smell of her perfume and the fried plantain she had just made. Chuka, I am not getting any younger, Kemi said, pouting. She was beautiful, with long braids and skin like dark chocolate. My mother keeps asking when I will bring a husband home. My friends are all getting married. What am I waiting for? Chuka sighed. Kemi, you know I love you. But it is complicated. I have a wife already. And I don't mind, Kemi said quickly, moving closer to him. I know you have a wife. But you can have 2. My own father has 3. It is normal. Just marry me properly, give me my own place, and I will be your second wife. Chiamaka does not have to know yet. We can tell her later, when the time is right. Chuka looked into her eyes. He saw determination there, and something else, ambition. But he was too blinded by his feelings to notice. He pulled her close and whispered, okay. We will do it. We will marry. What he didn't know was that Kemi had already visited a native doctor in Oyo town, a man who gave her oil to rub on her body so that Chuka would never leave her. And that same night, as they celebrated their decision, a small life was already beginning to form in her womb. The wedding was a quiet affair in March 2024. Only Chuka's mother, Mama Okonkwo, attended from his side. The old woman sat in the corner of the small church in Ibadan, her lips pressed tight. My son, she had said the night before, this thing you are doing, it is not right. Chiamaka is a good wife. She has given you children. No. But that is not her fault. Maybe God has not blessed you with children yet. But this new woman, she is not like Chiamaka. I see trouble in her eyes. Mama, please, Chuka had begged. Just support me. When the time is right, I will tell Chiamaka. But for now, let this be our secret. Mama Okonkwo had nodded, but her heart was heavy. She loved Chiamaka like her own daughter. And now she was betraying her. After the wedding, Chuka set Kemi up in a small room in Mama Okonkwo's compound in Ajij, Lagos. It was a humble place, but Kemi did not complain. She smiled and cooked and waited. She was playing the long game. Back in Suralere, Chiamaka noticed changes in her husband. He came home later. He was always on his phone. When she asked who he was texting, he would say, "Clients, my love. You know how this business is." One evening in May, She picked up his phone by accident when it buzzed on the table. The screen lit up with a message, "My husband, I am craving pounded yam. Will you bring some when you come?" Her heart stopped. "My husband." She stared at the words, her hands shaking. But before she could open the message, Chuka snatched the phone from her hand. Chiamaka, what are you doing with my phone?" he shouted, his face red. "I was going to hand it to you, and I saw a message," she said slowly, her eyes narrowing. "Someone called you my husband." "Chuka, who is that?" "It's a client. You know how these young girls are, they call everyone my husband to get discounts. Don't start with your jealousy. A man is working hard to provide, and this is what I get." Chiamaka wanted to argue, but his anger scared her. She backed down, telling herself she was being paranoid. But that night, as Chuka slept beside her, she lay awake, staring at the ceiling, a tiny seed of doubt planted in her heart. June brought bad news. Chuka's big client in Lekki pulled out of the deal. The commission he had been expecting vanished like morning dew. Money became tight. He started borrowing from Emeka to keep both homes running. "You are digging your own grave, my friend," Emeka warned. "2 wives, 1 pocket. This mathematics will not balance." But Chuka was stubborn. He sold his car to pay Kemi's rent and buy her gifts. He told Chiamaka the car was stolen. She cried for days, not just for the car, but because something felt wrong. Her husband was lying to her. She could feel it in her bones. July was the month Kemi announced she was pregnant. Chuka was overjoyed. After 7 years of marriage to Chiamaka with no child, he was finally going to be a father. He drove straight to Ajij, picked Kemi up, and spun her around the room. "You have made me a man," he shouted. "A real man." But Kemi smiled a smile that did not reach her eyes. "Yes, my husband. Now you must take care of me. And when the baby comes, you must tell your first wife about us. I will not have my child called a bastard." Chuka's joy dimmed slightly. "Tell Chiamaka." "How? When?" He pushed the thought away. He would deal with it later. There was always later. August was the month of lies. Chiamaka's younger sister, Adana, came to visit from Port Harcourt. She was sharp-eyed and sharp-tongued. "Sister, your husband is acting strange," Adana said one afternoon, as they prepared vegetables for soup. "He came home yesterday with a smell of perfume that is not your perfume. And I saw a receipt in his pocket from a maternity hospital in Ajij. Why would he go there?" Chiamaka's knife paused mid-cut. "Maternity hospital. Are you sure?" "I am sure. Sister, you need to open your eyes. Something is going on." That night, Chiamaka confronted Chuka. He laughed it off. "Adana is a child. She sees things. I went to Ajij to see a client whose wife just had a baby. The receipt was for a gift I bought them. You see how you are worrying yourself for nothing." Chiamaka wanted to believe him. She clung to his words like a drowning man clings to a rope. But deep down, the doubt was growing, festering like a wound that would not heal. September 13, 2024. The day before everything changed. Chiamaka's mother called from Enugu. "Nene, I am not feeling well. Can you come and stay with me for a few days?" Chiamaka packed her bag, her heart heavy with worry. "Chuka, I will be back on Sunday. Please take care of yourself." He kissed her goodbye, relief flooding through him. With Chiamaka gone, he could spend the weekend with Kemi. He could hold his baby in her belly. He could be free. But as Chiamaka's boss left Lagos, something made her change her mind. A strange feeling, a nudge from God, her late father's spirit, she didn't know what. But halfway to Enugu, she told the driver to stop. She got down, crossed the road, and took the next bus back to Lagos. She arrived home at 3 a.m. on Saturday, September 14th. The door was locked from inside. She knocked. No answer. She used her spare key and stepped into the darkness. And that was when she heard it. A giggle. A woman's giggle. Coming from her bedroom. Her heart pounded as she crept closer. She pushed the door open. And there, in her bed, in her wedding bed, was her husband, with another woman. The woman screamed, grabbed the bedsheet, and ran past Chiamaka, fleeing into the night. Chiamaka stood frozen, staring at the rumpled sheets, at the hair left behind, at the earring on the floor. She picked up the sheet. She held it. She looked at the door where the woman had escaped. Then she walked to the living room, sat down, and waited for morning. She did not cry. She did not scream. She simply waited, her heart turning to stone. And when the sun rose, she walked back to that bedroom, threw open the door, and the real war began. The pink bedsheet lay between them like a bloody battlefield. Chiamaka's eyes, red and swollen, bore into Chuka's soul with the intensity of 1,000 suns. The clock on the wall ticked loudly, each second marking the death of their marriage. "You will tell me everything," Chiamaka said, her voice low and terrifyingly calm. "From the beginning. Who she is. Where you met her. How long. And if you lie to me even once, Chuka Okonkwo, I will burn this house down with you inside it." Chuka's mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. He had never seen this side of his wife. The quiet, prayerful woman who cooked his meals and ironed his shirts had vanished. In her place stood a warrior. "Her name is Kemi," he whispered, his voice cracking. "Adiemi. She is a caterer. I met her in Ibadan in July last year." Chiamaka's hand flew to her mouth. "July. Last year. Chuka, you have been lying to me for over a year." "We got married in March," he continued, the words stumbling out like confessions in a church. "She is pregnant. She is living in my mother's compound in Ajij. Mama knows. Mama has known from the beginning." The last sentence hit Chiamaka like a physical blow. She stumbled backward, grabbing the wall for support. Her mother-in-law. The woman she called Mama, the woman she cooked for, bought gifts for, prayed for every night. That woman had been part of the betrayal. "Your mother," Chiamaka breathed. "Your mother knew you took a second wife and said nothing to me." Chuka nodded, tears streaming down his face. "I am sorry, Chiamaka. I am so sorry. I was weak. She pressured me. She said she would leave me if I didn't marry her. And then she got pregnant and what?" Chiamaka screamed, her voice echoing through the house. "And I could not give you children, so you found someone who could. Is that what you are saying?" "No. No, that is not." 7 years. Chiamaka cried, tearing at her clothes. 7 years I have given you, Chuka. I left my father's house in Enugu to follow you to Lagos. I cooked for you, cleaned for you, prayed for you. I sold my jewelry to help you start your business. And this is how you repay me. By bringing another woman into my bed. Into my marriage." She picked up a vase from the table and threw it at him. It missed, shattering against the wall behind him. She grabbed the picture frame, their wedding picture, and held that too. Chuka ducked, covering his head. "Get out," she screamed. "Get out of my house. Chiamaka, please, let us talk. There is nothing to talk about. Get out before I kill you. I swear to God, Chuka, I will kill you today." Chuka grabbed his shirt and ran. He ran down the stairs, through the compound gates, and into the streets of Suraleh, barefoot, wearing only his boxers and the shirt he had managed to grab. Neighbors watched him flee, their mouths open in shock. The story of what had happened would spread through the neighborhood like wildfire before the sun set. Chuka ended up at Emeka's house in Ikeja. His friend took one look at him and shook his head slowly. "I warned you," Emeka said, handing him a glass of water. "I told you this day would come. Wetin you go do now?" Chuka sat on the floor, his head in his hands. "I don't know, Emeka. I don't know. She threw me out. She said she will kill me." "Chiamaka. Kill somebody. That gentle woman." Emeka laughed bitterly. "My friend, you don't touch woman we don't turn to lion. When you push a good woman too far, she becomes something else entirely. You better find somewhere to stay and start thinking about how to fix this mess." "I have Kemi," Chuka said weakly. "I can go to Kemi." Emeka stared at him like he was the biggest fool in all of Lagos. "You want to go to the woman we cause all this? The woman we lay down for you for your matrimonial bed? Chuka, sometimes I wonder if your brain dey house. Go to Kemi. See what will happen when Chiamaka finds out. She will find out, because Kemi will make sure she finds out. That woman wants your first wife's position. Can't you see that?" But Chuka was not listening. He was already calling Kemi, telling her to come and pick him up. Little did he know, Kemi had her own plans, and they did not include sharing Chuka with anyone. Kemi arrived within the hour, driving a small Toyota she had bought with money Chuka gave her. She helped him into the car, her face full of concern. "My poor husband," she cooed, touching his cheek. "That wicked woman threw you out like a dog. Don't worry, my love. You have me. You have your child. We don't need her." Chuka leaned into her touch, grateful for the comfort. But Emeka's words echoed in his head. "That woman wants your first wife's position." He pushed the thought away. He was tired. He would think tomorrow. They drove to Ajij, to the small room in Mama Okonkwo's compound. Mama was waiting at the gate, her face grim. "So she caught you," Mama said flatly. "I told you this would happen. I told you to tell her the truth from the beginning. But you wouldn't listen." "Mama, please, not now," Chuka begged. "I need to rest." "Rest?" Mama Okonkwo laughed, but there was no humor in it. "My son, your rest is over. Chiamaka has been calling me. She called me 10 times. She called me every name she could think of. And you know what? I deserve it. I should have told her myself. I should have stopped this madness." Kemi stepped forward, her eyes flashing. "Mama, with respect, this is between me and Chuka now. Chiamaka is his past. I am his future. I am carrying his child." Mama Okonkwo looked at Kemi's belly, then at her son, then back at Kemi. "You are carrying a child, yes. But that child does not erase 7 years of marriage. You mark my words, Adeyemi. What goes around comes around. You planted this marriage in deceit. It will bear fruit of sorrow." Kemi's smile did not waver, but something cold flickered in her eyes. She led Chuka inside, closing the door on Mama Okonkwo's warnings. 3 days passed. Chiamaka did not call. She did not text. She did not come looking for Chuka. This silence was more terrifying than any scream. On the 4th day, Chuka received a message from his bank. His account had been frozen. He called the bank. "I am sorry, Mr. Okonkwo," the customer service agent said. "Your wife came in with your marriage certificate and a court order. She says you abandoned the home and she is claiming her rights to freeze joint assets until the divorce is settled." Divorce. The word hit Chuka like a truck. He had never imagined Chiamaka would go this far. She was a Christian. She believed marriage was forever. But he had forgotten something important: a Christian pushed too far becomes an Old Testament warrior. He called Chiamaka's number. It rang once and went to voicemail. He called again. Voicemail. Again. Voicemail. She had blocked him. Panic began to set in. Without his bank account, he could not pay Kemi's rent. He could not buy food. He could not do anything. He was trapped. That evening, Kemi came home with news. Chuka, I saw Chiamaka today. Chuka's blood ran cold. Where? Where did you see her? At the market in Motion. She was with a woman, a big woman dressed in expensive clothes. They were laughing together like old friends. Kemi's eyes narrowed. I asked around. That woman is Barrister Mrs. Okonjo. She is the most feared divorce lawyer in Lagos. She has never lost a case. Chuka's legs gave way. He sat down heavily on the bed. A divorce lawyer. Chiamaka had hired a divorce lawyer. This was really happening. Chuka, you need to fight, Kemi said, grabbing his shoulders. You cannot let her take everything. That money is yours. That house is yours. You worked for it. I worked for it with her support, Chuka said quietly. She sold her jewelry to start my business. She stayed hungry so I could eat. She believed in me when no one else did. And now? Kemi asked, her voice hard. Now she wants to destroy you. Are you going to let her? Chuka looked up at her. For the first time, he saw something in Kemi's eyes that scared him. It was not love. It was ambition. It was hunger. It was the look of someone who would stop at nothing to get what she wanted. What had he gotten himself into? The next morning, there was a knock on the door. Chuka opened it to find a court official holding an envelope. Chuka Okonkwo. You have been served. He took the envelope with shaking hands. Inside was a divorce petition. Chiamaka was asking for everything. The house in Suralia. The land he had bought in Lekki. His share of the business. Everything. And at the bottom, in her own handwriting, was a note. You took a second wife without telling me. You brought another woman into my bed. You let your mother lie to my face. You broke my heart into pieces too small to find. Now you will learn that a woman you betray is a woman you should fear. See you in court. Chuka read the words over and over, each time feeling the knife twist deeper. This was not the Chiamaka he knew. This was a stranger. A stranger he had created. Kemi read the note over his shoulder and snorted. Let her try. We will fight her. I know people. I know a powerful lawyer in Ibadan. We will not let her take what is yours. But Chuka was not listening. He was remembering Chiamaka's smile on their wedding day. He was remembering the way she used to hum while cooking his favorite soup. He was remembering the nights she stayed up with him when he was worried about business, rubbing his back and telling him everything would be okay. Everything would be okay, she had said. But nothing would ever be okay again. 2 weeks later, Chuka stood outside the courthouse in Ikeja, sweating under the hot October sun. Beside him stood Kemi, her belly now visibly round with pregnancy. On the other side of the courthouse steps stood Chiamaka, dressed in a simple but elegant blue dress, her head held high. Beside her was Barrister Okonjo, a mountain of a woman in a lawyer's gown, her face set in a grim smile. Chuka Okonkwo, the bailiff called. This way. As he walked past Chiamaka, she looked at him. Really looked at him. And in her eyes, he saw something that broke his heart completely. It was not hate. It was not anger. It was pity. She pitied him. The woman he had betrayed pitied him. Enter, the judge said, and the doors closed behind them. Inside the courtroom, the air was thick with tension. Chuka's lawyer, a young man Kemi had found in Ibadan, looked nervous. Barrister Okonjo looked like a lioness preparing to pounce. The judge, an elderly woman with sharp eyes, looked over the papers. This is a divorce case. Chuka Okonkwo, You are accused of marrying a second wife without the knowledge or consent of your first wife, Chiamaka Okonkwo. How do you plead? Before Chuka could speak, Kemi stood up. He pleads not guilty. He had every right to take a second wife. It is his culture. It is his tradition. The judge's gavel came down hard. Order in my court. Who is this woman? Barrister Okonjo stood, her voice booming through the room. My lord, that is the second wife. The one he married without telling my client. The one he brought into my client's matrimonial bed. The one who is now carrying his child while my client remains childless and betrayed. The judge looked at Kemi with cold eyes. Sit down, madam. You will speak when I ask you to speak. Kemi sat, her face burning with humiliation. Chuka's heart sank. This was not starting well. The trial lasted 3 days. On the first day, Chiamaka took the stand. She spoke quietly but firmly, her voice never wavering. I gave that man everything, she said, looking straight at Chuka. I left my family in Enugu to follow him to Lagos. I sold my mother's jewelry, the jewelry she gave me on her deathbed, to start his business. I cooked, I cleaned, I prayed. For 7 years, I was his wife in every way. And how did he repay me? He took another woman. He married her in secret. He brought her to my bed while I was away visiting my sick mother. He let his mother lie to my face for months. Tears streamed down her face, but her voice remained strong. I am not asking for revenge. I am asking for what is mine. The house we built together. The money we saved together. The life we planned together. He can have his new wife. He can have his child. But he cannot have the pieces of my life that I worked for. The courtroom was silent. Even the judge's eyes looked wet. Chuka wanted to sink into the floor. On the second day, Kemi testified. She was dramatic, waving her hands, pointing at her belly. He loves me. He chose me. I am carrying his child. His first wife could not give him a child for 7 years. 7 years. What woman does that to her husband? Barrister Okonjo stood slowly. Let me understand this, madam. You are saying that because my client could not have children, her husband had the right to deceive her. To lie to her. To marry you in secret and hide you like a dirty secret. Kemi's mouth opened and closed. That is not what I meant. That is exactly what you meant. Barrister Okonjo turned to the judge. My lord, I rest my case. The facts are clear. This man committed bigamy. He married this woman while still legally married to my client. He did not inform my client. He did not seek her consent. He did not follow any cultural tradition that requires openness and honesty. He simply lied. For over a year, he lied. On the third day, the judge gave her verdict. After reviewing all the evidence, the judge began, her voice echoing through the silent courtroom, I find Chuka Okonkwo guilty of deceit and abandonment of his marital duties. The marriage to Chiamaka Okonkwo is hereby dissolved. The house in Suralere goes to Chiamaka Okonkwo, as it was purchased during the marriage and she contributed significantly to its purchase. The land in Lekki is to be sold, and the proceeds divided equally between both parties. Chuka Okonkwo's business is to be evaluated, and Chiamaka Okonkwo is entitled to 60% of its value, reflecting her initial investment and years of unpaid labor. Chuka's head spun. He was losing everything. Everything. But the judge was not finished. She turned to Kemi. As for you, Adeyemi Kemi, you knowingly entered into a marriage with a man who was already married. You knew he had not told his wife. You participated in this deceit. Your marriage to Chuka Okonkwo is invalid and void under Nigerian law. You have no legal claim to him or his property. Whatever arrangement you make from now is between you and him, but this court will not recognize you as a legal wife. Kemi screamed. No. That is not fair. I am carrying his child. What about my child? The judge's gavel came down. Your child will be provided for according to the law. Chuka Okonkwo must pay child support. But you are not his wife. You never were. Court is adjourned. The gavel banged, and it was over. Chuka sat frozen as Chiamaka walked past him without a word. She did not look back. She did not need to. She had won. Outside the courthouse, chaos erupted. Kemi was screaming at Chuka, hitting him with her fist. You useless man. You let them destroy me. You told me I would be your wife. You told me I would have everything. Chuka grabbed her hands, trying to calm her. Kemi, please, we will figure this out. I still have some money. I will take care of you and the baby. Take care of me. Kemi laughed bitterly. With what? She took everything. Everything. You have nothing. You are nothing. She pushed him away and stormed off, disappearing into the crowd. Chuka stood alone on the courthouse steps, watching his life crumble around him. Emeka appeared beside him, shaking his head. My friend, Emeka said quietly. I told you. I told you this would happen. Chuka nodded, unable to speak. He had lost his wife. He had lost his money. He had lost his home. And now, the woman he had destroyed his marriage for was walking away, cursing his name. Mama Okonkwo approached him slowly. She was crying. My son, my son. What have you done? What have you done to us all? Chuka looked at his mother, and for the first time since this nightmare began, he cried. He cried like a child, great heaving sobs that shook his entire body. Passers-by stared, but he did not care. Let them stare. Let the whole world see. He deserved their pity. He deserved their scorn. 3 months passed. Chuka was living in a small room in Ajij, a place far smaller than the room he had given Kemi. His business had collapsed without Chiamaka's management. He had tried to rebuild, but clients did not trust him anymore. Word had spread about what he did. In Lagos, reputation is everything, and his reputation was destroyed. Kemi had given birth to a baby girl in December. She had named her Precious, but there was nothing precious about their situation. Kemi refused to let Chuka see the child unless he brought money. And he had no money. He was working as a bus conductor now, collecting fares in the crowded downfall buses, sweating under the sun for pennies. One evening, as he climbed down from the bus at the end of his shift, he saw a familiar figure waiting at the bus stop. It was Chiamaka. She looked different. Healthier. Happier. She was dressed in fine clothes, and beside her stood a man Chuka did not recognize, a tall, handsome man with kind eyes. Chuka's heart stopped. He wanted to run, but his feet would not move. Chiamaka saw him. For a long moment, they just looked at each other. Then she walked toward him. Chuka, she said. Just his name. Nothing else. Chiamaka, he whispered. You look well. I am well, she said. I am very well. This is my car. My husband. The word hit Chuka like a slap. Husband. She had remarried. Of course she had. Why wouldn't she? She was beautiful, intelligent, successful. Any man would be lucky to have her. Michael stepped forward and offered his hand. Chuka shook it weakly, unable to meet his eyes. I have heard a lot about you, Michael said, his voice calm. Thank you for losing such a wonderful woman. Her loss was my gain. Chuka flinched. The words were polite, but the meaning was clear. You were a fool, and I benefited from your foolishness. I came to tell you something, Chiamaka said. I forgave you. It took time, and many prayers, but I forgave you. I am not carrying anger in my heart anymore. It is too heavy. I let it go. Chuka's eyes filled with tears. Chiamaka, I am so sorry. I am so sorry. I know, she said. And I hope one day you forgive yourself. But Chuka, I also came to warn you. Kemi is not done with you. She has been asking about me. She has been asking about the house. She wants what I have. Be careful. That woman will destroy whatever is left of you. Before Chuka could respond, she turned and walked back to Michael. They got into a nice car and drove away, leaving Chuka standing in the dust, watching his past disappear into the Lagos traffic. That night, Chuka lay on his thin mattress, staring at the ceiling. He thought about Chiamaka's warning. Kemi. What did she want now? She already had his child. She already had whatever money he could scrape together. What more could she take? The answer came 3 days later. Chuka was at the bus park when 2 policemen approached him. Chuka Okonkwo. Yes, he said, his heart racing. You are under arrest for failure to pay child support. Adeyemi Kemi has filed a complaint. You must come with us. They handcuffed him in front of everyone. The other bus drivers watched, their faces a mix of pity and scorn. Chuka hung his head as they led him away. This was his life now. Handcuffs. Shame. Poverty. At the police station, he was thrown into a cell. The conditions were terrible, cramped, dirty, full of desperate men. He sat in the corner and wept. He wept for his lost marriage. He wept for his daughter, whom he barely knew. He wept for the man he used to be, the successful real estate agent with a beautiful wife and a bright future. Kemi visited him the next day. She stood outside the cell, her baby on her hip, a cruel smile on her face. Hello, husband, she said sweetly. How do you like your new home? Chuka looked at her through the bars. Kemi, why are you doing this? I have nothing left. You have taken everything. Not everything, she said, her smile widening. You still have the house in Suralia. Well, Chiamaka has it. But you are still on the deed, aren't you? The judge gave it to her, but your name is still there. If something happened to her, that house would go to you. And if it went to you, then as the mother of your child, I could claim it for my baby. Chuka's blood ran cold. What are you saying? What are you planning? Kemi leaned closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. Accidents happen in Lagos every day, Chuka. Every day. Women get robbed. Women get attacked. Women fall from buildings. It is a dangerous city. Kemi. Chuka screamed, grabbing the bars. If you touch her, I will kill you. I swear to God, I will kill you myself. Kemi laughed, a cold, hollow sound. Kill me. You are in a cell, Chuka. You cannot kill anyone. And by the time you get out, everything will be taken care of. Goodbye, husband. Enjoy your stay. She turned and walked away, her baby crying in her arms. Chuka sank to the floor, his world collapsing around him. He had to warn Chiamaka. He had to stop Kemi. But how? He was locked up, helpless, while the woman he had betrayed and the woman who had betrayed him were about to collide in the most dangerous way possible. That night, as the cell grew dark, Chuka made a decision. He would escape. He would find a way out of this cell, and he would run to Suralia. He would warn Chiamaka. He would protect her, even if it cost him his life. It was the least he could do. The very least. He looked up at the small, barred window high on the wall. Outside, the lights of Lagos twinkled. Somewhere out there, Chiamaka was sleeping peacefully, unaware of the danger coming for her. And Kemi was planning, scheming, getting ready to strike. The clock ticked. Time was running out. What would happen when Kemi made her move? Would Chuka escape in time? Would Chiamaka survive the danger that was coming for her? The answers would come, but not tonight. Tonight, all Chuka could do was wait, and pray, and hope that somehow, someway, he could right the terrible wrongs he had set in motion. The story was not over. In fact, the most dangerous chapter was just beginning. Thank you for watching. This is Echoes from the Baobab Tree. Kindly subscribe to our channel and share the video. Thanks.